Wrath of the Lich King came out in 2008 and here we are, 14 years later, getting ready for WotLK Classic. Most players returning to Classic have already been through the motions. So why would you bother looking at tips? Because Wrath Classic has some changes. We can now benefit from resources we didn't have back in the day. We won't ding 80 as the absolute noobs we were more than a decade ago. Here are some things to consider while adventuring through Northrend. During the original Wrath of the Lich King, WoW hit a record player base of 12 million subscribers. Will Wrath of the Lich King Classic pull the same trick? Most likely not, but we expect oodles of players assaulting Northrend in the first days. The dreaded login queue will plague our screens once again. While this is entirely on Blizzard's end, we can take precautions. Start the game and log in ahead of your normal playing hours. This way, the hours spent in the queue won't chip from the playtime. You can hop on a boat or zeppelin and get to Northrend as soon as you hit 68. However, that doesn't mean you should. Obviously, your main is already 70, but if you want to play WotLK Classic with an alt, maybe a shiny new Death Knight, you might be tempted to heed the call of the Frozen Wastes at level 68. As beguiling as it may sound, you will have a hard time in Northrend 2 levels lower than intended. Mobs in the level 70 starting locations are harder to kill than Outland mobs around your level. You will end up gaining XP slower. You also might not meet the level requirement for questing in the next zone and be forced to grind in the starting area. Be patient, do quests in Netherstorm or Shadowmoon Valley until you reach the Burning Crusade level cap and then head to Northrend. Be sure to fill your quest log before launch with ready to turn in quests. Reports show that you can achieve almost half a level using this method. The dailies on the Isle of Quel'Danas give good XP once the level cap is raised. Look for other TBC max level quests that give XP beyond the cap. Remember that you can check the quest details with the Questy add-on. Fill your journal to the brim with quests, complete them, and wait until the expansion is released to turn them in. It's a nice and easy way to secure some free WotLK Classic XP. With the risk of sounding like your mother still telling you, a mature adult who plays the game of their youth, to put on a jacket before going out, we are respectfully reminding you that a good offline session in an area where you earn rested XP goes a long way. Characters earn rested XP by logging off in an inn or a city. You get a bubble of rested XP for every 8 hours spent in such an area. It's possible to accumulate a maximum of 30 bubbles. Now, something that you might not know is that you also earn rested XP when logging off somewhere else, however, at a much slower pace. You need 32 hours to get one bubble. So, use the Hearthstone before going offline and log in the next day to enjoy the XP bonus. To make the most of it, run dungeons while the XP bar is blue. Your first WotLK Classic character will be ground bound until level 77. Consider this a chance to show off that Amani War Bear or a fancy low drop mount you were lucky enough to obtain. Speaking of, we hope that you have the journeyman riding skill unlocked. Once you reach level 77, you can learn cold weather flying for 1000 gold. The trainers are in Dalaran, K3 and Storm Peaks, and River's Heart and Sholazar Basin. You need to have learned expert riding to unlock Northrend Flying. If you don't have artisan riding yet, check in with the trainers at Honor Hold /Thrallmar and Valiant's Keep /Warsong Hold for reputation discounts. Faster movement equals faster mob killing, faster questing, and thus faster leveling. Prioritize getting the fast mount and Northrend Flying above everything else. At level 80, you can buy Tome of Cold Weather Flying and mail it to your level 68 alts. Wrath of the Lich King brings Glyphs into the game. These inscription products have all sorts of nifty effects ranging from performance enhancing to utility. You can use Glyphs from level 20. Many players will level up inscription, which means that the auction house will have no shortage of cheap Glyphs. Don't go for the recommended Glyphs for your specialization just yet unless they are affordable. Look for Glyphs that provide utility and can help you when questing and running dungeons. The faster you move, the faster you level. Assuming that you have unlocked the fast ground and air mounts, here are some consumables that will allow you to move quicker as a pedestrian. The math has been done and the numbers don't lie. The number one power leveling method is mob grinding. It's the fastest, but also the least achievable unless you are backed by others. It's usually the streamers, content creators, or popular members of the community who do this for entertainment. Most people are under the impression that dungeon spamming is faster than questing. Technically, they are not wrong. Elite mobs give better XP than the normal ones. However, we must consider two things: the dungeon lockout and how fast you can find a group. The WotLK dungeon lockout prevents players from doing more than 5 dungeons per hour. Typically, this shouldn't be a problem. How fast will you find a group depends on your role, time of the day, and server fullness. In the first weeks, this won't be a problem. As time passes, the number of players and their appetite for dungeons diminishes. So, the recommendation is to mix questing with dungeon runs. Pay a visit to the class trainer after dinging to see what new spells and abilities you can learn. Ranks are still a thing in WotLK. Use the /cast name of the spell/ability macro instead of the actual action. The macro will automatically use the highest rank. WotLK introduces the dual specialization talent. It allows players to have 2 talent and action bar configurations they can switch on the fly. The talent costs 1000 gold. It's not cheap, but it might be beneficial as it allows more role flexibility. It all depends on your class and the roles it can perform. For example, you can have a damage-oriented specialization for leveling and a tanking or healing specialization for dungeons. Being a tank or a healer greatly increases your desirability when looking for a dungeon group. You can quickly swap specs when the situation calls for a role change. Bags fill up quickly, especially when leveling. Whenever you see a vendor, get rid of all the junk. Nowadays we have add-ons that do that for you. From time to time, do an inventory check and lose the items that you no longer need. You can use online resources to see what the item is for. In case you forgot its purpose, make a bank alt to store ores, plants, cloths, ingredients, and other things without immediate use. Mail between alts is instant. Have the biggest bags you can afford. Don't forget that you can get 4 additional bag slots by attaching an authenticator to your account. Everyone who leveled in the original Wrath of the Lich King remembers the Quest Helper add-on. It was eventually rendered unnecessary when Blizzard introduced similar functionality in patch 3.3.0. WotLK Classic will launch without this feature. However, beta reports show that quest items have been made more visible, thanks to a sparkling effect. That's nice, but still not enough for the fastest levelers. Here are a couple of add-ons that will help with leveling. We hope these tips will help you get to level 80 quickly, and we'll see you all in Northrend.